Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Hockey TITTH number 212. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I have my brother and co-host, Nick Olzak, Nick OZ, with us tonight. Happy Tuesday, sir. How are we doing?
Good. Big game of hockey tonight, or big day of hockey night. So ready to get into some of the games here.
Yeah, absolutely. Very big card for this evening. I believe 10 games total. We're going to preview 5 of them, and then we'll have the first 5 up here at the back end of the show with some live betting, the games that have already started. I believe there's another game about to start, Anaheim and Buffalo. They should be dropping the puck here shortly. We're going to be kicking it off with, I believe, Florida and St. Louis, or Carolina and Winnipeg, one or the other. Right now, I'm watching Nashville and Detroit. Nashville's up 2-0. I just got a goal from Yossi, who's on my fantasy team. He's got a goal and an assist in this game, so he's off to a good start. How are you looking so far this evening, sir?
Looking good. In terms of fantasy hockey-wise, not the best. My team could do a little better. Had a little bit of an off night last night, but hoping the guys pick it back up for tonight because there's a lot of games tonight, so a lot of points to be had.
Yeah, a lot of games, a lot of action tonight. We're going to be diving into it. Let's jump into our best props for tonight. In this game, actually, with the Predators and Detroit, I have Mikael Granlund registering at least 2 shots on net. He's coming off a game where he put in 5 shots on net, but games prior, he didn't have any shots on net, actually. He had like 3 games in a row with no shots. So hopefully that's not the case tonight. He's pretty much a coin flip through 24 games. He's hit this number at least 12 times. So needs at least 2 shots on net. Doesn't have one yet, and we're coming in close to the end of the first period. So maybe I should have been riding the Ryan Hartman hot hand. That prop just can't seem to miss here. But they did move his number up to like 4 rather than like 3 shots on net. So the books are starting to figure it out. What best props are you looking at tonight, Nick?
I got Andre Palat with over half a point tonight. He's hit it the last couple games, and they're playing against Montreal tonight. Not one of the best teams in the league. Tampa's been able to put the puck in the back of the net, so I see this as an easy hit for tonight.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I might be coming back around on that wild game for Ryan Hartman if I don't start seeing any progress out of Granlund here. All right, let's jump into our monkey knife fight props to kick things off. First up, we're looking at Leon Draisaitl versus Kirill Kaeperzov for a fantasy points battle. Draisaitl is getting 6.5 points and Kaeperzov at 4.5. What do you like here, Nick? Over, under for both?
I'm probably gonna have to go over for both. I think Draisaitl. He's still always consistent, one of the best players in the league. I think he'll hit it. They're playing Minnesota tonight, and so, yeah, I think he'll hit it. And as for Kirill, I think he'll also hit it. Again, he's been hot. I made the mistake of actually trading him in fantasy, and so ever since I traded him, he's kind of gotten a hot hand. So, yeah, I'm going over on both of these.
There was a trade in our league?
There was a trade in our league, yes.
I must have been sleeping on that one. Who'd you get back?
I got back, what was it? I think I gave up Troy Terry, Kirill, and Rasmus Anderson, the guy gave up, this is
a lot so far.
I gave up he gave up Bergeron, Marchand, and Rasmus Anderson, and I got back, and then I gave up Terry, Kirill, and someone else.
Trade. Yeah. Interesting trade there.
Or Shattenkirk, Terry, Kirill, and Shattenkirk.
Okay, yeah, attacking that Boston line 1, I don't hate it. I'm going to have to make sure that I don't continue to miss trades. But hey, I didn't veto it, so at the end of the day, I think that's all you care about.
Right.
I am also going with the overs here. Both of these guys are offensively minded players. If you look at the production recently, Draisaitl's had a few games where he's been less than himself, we'll say. The points just haven't been there. I think in like 3 of his last 5 games, he hasn't had a point. So I think he's due. And in this game in general, I like a lot of offense. I like the over here. You have 2 borderline top 5 offenses in total scoring. So give me the over for Draisaitl and give me the over for Kaeperzov. Next up, we have Jonathan Huberto versus Vladimir Teresenko. Another fantasy points battle. Both players are at 4.5 fantasy points. Over, under for both, Nick. What do you like?
For Teresenko, it's close because actually I just saw him come across our fantasy waiver wire. So it obviously must mean there's something that's not really there. He hasn't really hit this number the last 4 games. And
Right.
so, yeah, I'm going to go with the under on Teresenko. And Huberto, I'm going to go with the over tonight. I think that Florida offense knows what they're doing. And against a team like St. Louis, I think he'll hit that number.
Yeah, 1,000% agree with you. So over for Huberto and under for Teresenko. You just look at the production recently. Teresenko's been a shell of himself. Huberto and the Panthers, they've been rolling. And that's going to be our first game up here, actually, on the preview. So we can just jump right into that. But if you haven't already, please be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/Take It to the Hizzy. Let's go. All right, first up here, we've got the Florida Panthers traveling to St. Louis, coming in as road favorites, -1.5 on the spread, -160 on the money line, and the over-under is at 6.5 goals. The Blues will be missing some of their teammates. I know Robert Thomas is out. They have some players out with COVID. They're only going to be dressing 10 forwards and 7 defensemen because they can't call players up because of salary cap issues. So they're going to be shorthanded tonight. I really, really like the Panthers here. I feel very safe taking them on the money line, and I feel very safe taking the over, which is plus money, +102 to the over 6.5 goals. I think the Panthers themselves can easily put up 4 or 5 goals in this one. So give me the over, give me the Panthers in the win. What do you think, Nick? What do you like here, and do you think the Blues can cover? Do you think they can keep it close?
Yeah, I think the Blues can keep it close. I think they'll for sure cover, but I do at the end of the day like the Panthers money line. I think especially with the shorthanded St. Louis lineup, it kind of builds a case for the Panthers more. And I like the over on this. I think there'll be a lot of goal scoring. You'll be looking at, like a 4-2, 4-3 kind of hockey game.
Yeah, 4-2 would still hit the under, but I do think that the Panthers they're going to be pushing close to 5. I really do. They've been rolling. They've won 3 in a row. The Blues, even without missing players, they've been bad. They've lost 2 in a row already, and they've only won 4 out of their last 10 games. But both of these teams do have a good clip to the over. So the Blues 12 and 11 on the season, and Florida 13-11. St. Louis 12-11-1. That one was get me tongue tied there. So I do think that there's going to be some scoring available in this game. I'd be firing up all my Panthers. Definitely don't want to send anybody, on your fantasy team, when it comes to that matchup.
Right, for sure.
All right, next up here, we have the Carolina Hurricanes traveling to Winnipeg, coming in as road dogs, +1.5 on the spread, -104 on the money line. Both teams are paying even money on the money line, and the total is at 5.5 goals. Interesting enough, I like the Jets here. What do you like here, Nick?
I do also like the Jets tonight. Carolina, they've been really inconsistent, especially Freddie Anderson. I think he's starting again tonight. He's dropped his last 3, and it's been a pain for my fantasy team keeping him there. But, yeah, he's cold right now, and I think it'll be a close game. But I think, Winnipeg will pull this one out, and I do like the +1.5 on this one.
I will take Carolina +1.5. I do think this game's going to be close. I like a 2-1, 3-2 type of game. So really the under 5.5 goals is my best pick in this matchup. Neither team has a winning record to the over. 9-13 for Carolina and 11-12-1 for Winnipeg here. Winnipeg has won 2 in a row, but just 4 out of their last 10. Carolina's dropped 2 out of they're 2-5 of their last 7. So they've dropped 5 games of their last 7. I don't love them in this one. If this game was being played in Carolina, I'd probably flip it around. I would take the Jets to cover, Carolina to win. I think it'll be a close game. So really, really love the under 5.5, but also like Winnipeg to just win outright. All right, next up we have the New York Rangers traveling to Chicago, coming in as road favorites, -1.5 on the spread, -111 on the money line, and the over-under is at 5.5 goals. Going with the home team here, going with the Blackhawks. They just played the Rangers. Well, I should say the Blackhawks just played 2 in New York. They beat the Islanders and lost to the Rangers in New York 2-3. I like them to bounce back in this one. They already had a nice little tune-up game up against the Islanders. So I like the Blackhawks. Best pick here is for them to cover, but I do like the plus option for them to win. What do you like about the total, and do you think our boys can handle business at home tonight, Nick?
Yeah, I think the boys are going to handle business for sure. Marc-Andre Fleury's got the net against Alexander Georgiev tonight. Fleury's got the hot hand. The Rangers are without Igor Shesterkin tonight. I think that's a big thing for them. And
Going to the IR,
yeah, and I honestly like the under in this game. Fleury's been hot. I think he'll be able to keep some pucks out of the back of the net. And I don't necessarily see the Blackhawks as a team to score a handful of goals. But so, yeah, I think we're going to be looking at probably like a 3-2 kind of game.
No, that's what we had our last go around here. I feel like the Blackhawks can. I feel like they can get some work done at home. I feel like we can go to the over here. I like a 4-3 game, a little higher scoring than last time. So I like the over, and I like the Blackhawks money line. But the safer pick is definitely for them to cover at the +1.5. And they've been playing well. They've won 6 out of their last 10, and they've just been kind of trading games here. Tonight would be the game to trade a loss, but I'm thinking they can put one together here, get back-to-back wins coming home.
For sure.
All right, next up, we have the Minnesota Wild traveling to Edmonton, coming in as, road dogs, +1.5 on the spread, +109 on the money line, and the over-under is at 6.5 goals. I like the Wild here. It's a really close game here, but both teams have been scoring quite a bit. Like I said, both have top 5 offenses or borderline top 5. The Wild, they rank 4th in the league in total scoring, and the Oilers, they rank 6th. Both teams have been playing well. The Oilers maybe not as much or as well as the Wild, who have been on a roll. I forgot to mention the Rangers have won 6 in a row, and the Wild have won 6 in a row. The Rangers have won 9 out of their last 10. The Wild have won 7 out of their last 10. So some very hot teams here. I'm riding with the Wild. Honestly, it just comes down to them making me more money in the past 10 days than the Oilers.
Yeah, I like the Wild in this one too. Just looking at the Oilers numbers, they dropped one to Seattle and they dropped a tough one to LA the other night, 5-1. And so, for that reason, I like the Wild. And the Wild just seem, as of late, they've been a little bit more consistent in a way. Kaprizov starting to heat up, their goaltending solid. And so, I like the Wild in this one. But in terms of this game, I do like the +1.5. I think, it will be a close game for sure.
I like the Wild at +1.5 as well. It's a very safe pick. That +1.5 and maybe, I guess the other one took off. Yeah, and the Hurricanes. Those would be 2 really safe plus options to grab tonight for sure. Give me the Wild there. And did you take a pick on the total?
On the total for that game, I will go with the over for sure.
Yeah, I think we should be hitting the over there as well. All right, next up, we have the Calgary Flames traveling to San Jose, coming in as road favorites, -1.5 on the spread, -135 on the money line. Over-under is at 5.5 goals. Both teams are coming off losses. Calgary's dropped 1. San Jose's lost 2 in a row. Anything that you like here in particular? I mean, I like the Flames more so. They've been a better team just overall on the season.
Yeah, I like the Flames. I think their offense has really kind of hit a hot spot so far this year. And, I think San Jose, they've been decent too, but I think that the Flames are going to pull this one out. And I do like the +1.5 again in this one. And I like the total to go to the under on this.
I like the under as well. Both teams have been cashing the under. Calgary 11-14 to the over. San Jose 9-16, and that's with Calgary being the top defense in the league. They've allowed the fewest goals against so far this season. So I like the under 5.5 as well, and give me the Flames there. I think this is one of those games where you could see the Flames cover the spread though at the -1.5. This game and the Panthers over the Blues, I think, would be the 2 games that are most likely to cover the -1.5 tonight.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All right, next up, let's jump over to our fantasy waiver wire. All right, let's go through the Ducks first because we got quite a few Anaheim Ducks on here. So first up, we're going to run with Sony Milano. He's playing on the first line with Zegras and Ricardo Raquel. Dude's been lighting it up. He has goals in his last 2 games. He has 3 points in his last 3, in his last 3 games, he has 6 points. He had 3 assists 3 games ago in a 6-5 win over the Vegas Golden Knights. The dude's been playing out of his mind. He's playing on the first line. He's playing on the first power play, and he's only 22% rostered. And that line with him, Zegras, and Raquel, I mean, they've been on fire. I don't know how this guy's only 22% rostered. You own him? Who owns him?
Breadwinners, Carter. He owns him.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you had him, but great ad. If, any arguments to that? I mean, is this something do you think he's going to maintain throughout the season?
I don't think he's going to maintain it. I think for the moment, though, this would be a good pickup because coming up in their schedule too, you see they play St. Louis and Pittsburgh, 2 good hockey teams there. But no, I think as long as he's playing those top minutes and he's putting up the points, and I think you just hold him until he starts to kind of fizzle out a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would want every bit of that line. I am not letting go of Trevor Zegras anytime soon. All right, next up, we've got Jamie Drysdale, who plays defense for the Ducks. on a little bit of a run of his own, getting some shots on net. He has 3 points in his last 3 games as a defenseman. It's not bad. And he's got a ton of playing time. He's playing alongside Lindholm as the first defensive pairing. Same goes for the power play. Sometimes they mix him in with one of those like young forwards at the point, but all signs point to some solid production here. He's only 33% rostered on Yahoo. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I held him for a minute. I was holding him around probably end of November. He was putting up like 10, 16, 5. And then, yeah, I was thinking he was starting to fizzle out, but then he just kind of picked it back up. So, yeah, I think as long as he can keep this consistency, and when he falls off, if at all, if it's not really long-term necessarily, I think this could be a long-term hold just because the Anaheim Ducks are performing pretty well, to say the least, and he's getting the ice time, and the numbers point in the right direction for him. So, yeah, I would say add him and hold him because, yeah, he's only 33% rostered, and so he's going to be available in most leagues. So if he's available in your league, I would snag him right away.
I agree. And the shots and the blocks really keep him above water. You know, you look at the shots on goal, just like his handful of last games, 2-1-1, 2-1-1, 1-6. It's pretty solid. The blocks, 1-3-2-0-1. It's pretty solid. So he's contributing at some level throughout the entire game, and that comes from that playing time, like you mentioned. So I think he's a solid add. Next up, we have Ricardo Raquel, opposite of Milano on that line. So you have Milano, who's only 22% rostered, and Raquel, who's only 32% rostered. Thank goodness I have Zegras. You know, you want the whole first line out there available. Raquel, you know, he's a scorer, and that's what he's been doing. In his last game, he did have assists, but then he had back-to-back games with goals. He does have these games where he kind of slouches a little bit, you know, only has like a shot on net, doesn't really rack in too many assists often. So you're really relying on his goal scoring, but I like this line. Zegras, Raquel, and Milano, they're rolling. The team is having a lot of success. I think all 3 of those guys need to be owned.
Yeah, I think they need to be owned too because, the last 3 games for Raquel, he's performed pretty well, to say the least. And I just want to point out, in like a lot of leagues in fantasy hockey, I feel like there's always someone from Anaheim you can plug in. Like you just talked about Zegras, Raquel, Drysdale. I had Troy Terry for a while, Lundstrom. Like there's always guys from that team that you can plug into your lineup that usually aren't highly owned. And Ricardo Raquel is just like one of those guys because the numbers are there. His plus minus could be a little bit better down the stretch, but he's getting the shots and he's contributing a couple blocks, getting the points. So, yeah, I would hold him as long as Anaheim's doing good because if they're doing good, his playing time's going to go up and up and up, and I think his numbers will go up and up and up as well.
I agree with you. I'm paying attention to that actual game. I'm literally watching that line for Anaheim up against Buffalo right now, the Zegras line, and Drysdale was out there as well. It was just a bunch of puck possession time, so I couldn't take my eyes off it. they were just in the other end. I was like waiting for them to score a goal. They did have one like really good look while you were talking. I was waiting for it, but they couldn't pull it off. I leaned heavily into them tonight, the Ducks. They've been very successful and very profitable this season. So only a 13-8 record. They might have a tie or two, or overtime loss. I don't have that in front of me. But, yeah, they've been very exciting. I want every bit of them. And I feel like just the name brand, like the Ducks, like that's just what holds people back. They're just like, oh, they're bad. They've been bad. Who are these guys I haven't heard of? You know, you got Zegras, young center that's been lighting it up for them. To me, he's the guy to own on that line. Like if there's any one of them that I would want, it would definitely be Zegras. He's been playing awesome as a rookie. And yeah, Drysdale, I think, is going to be a solid hold for fantasy owners.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so we got through the Ducks. That's all the Ducks. Let's talk some Tuukka Rask. 0 production. Hasn't started a game yet, but he did practice with the Bruins today. And while he does remain unsigned, he technically was acting as their emergency backup goalie because I believe Linus Ullmark was in COVID or has a
he's out with some illness. Yeah.
So while unsigned, he is the emergency goalie. If something were to happen to, I don't even remember who's starting. Maybe is it Swayman that's starting tonight?
Yeah, I think Swayman's starting tonight.
Yeah, so if Swayman couldn't start, if something happened, all right, let's sign this deal in the locker room and get you out there. So he's practicing with the Bruins. He's still a free agent. He could be signed by the Sharks tomorrow or whoever, you know. He could be on a different coast in a couple of days. He's ramping up for his return. It sounds like he's going to be back in January playing with somebody. So a couple of things to unpackage here, Nick. Is he playing with the Bruins or is he playing with someone else? And is he someone that you want to grab? And does where he goes matter, as far as whether you want to grab him or not?
If he stays in Boston, it adds a lot of complications because then you have Linus Ullmark, Jeremy Swayman, and Tuukka Rask. So eventually they would have to move one of them. And I'm not saying they would move one right away. I think you could probably afford waiting till the deadline and trying to move someone then. But yeah, I think he could stay in Boston just for the sole purpose, hearing what the guys are saying about him, how they loved him being around, and how the energy he brings. I think that's definitely a possibility he could stay in Boston. But there's also a lot of other teams that could use a goaltender of his caliber to come to their team.
What do you think about the Avalanche?
The Avalanche, I think they could be a very solid front runner for Tuukka Rask. They have a very good offense, solid defense, but Darcy Kemper just hasn't been the guy like Philip Grubauer was. And I don't know what it is, but I think he could be the guy. And again, I think you run with a 1-2 punch, and then you move a guy like Darcy Kemper at the deadline for maybe a draft pick or something, or a prospect. And Colorado could be a good destination for him for sure. And I'm just trying to think of some other destinations that he could go. But
I was going to ask you, what about like a team like the Rangers or the Wild? We just mentioned those guys.
Yeah, I think the Rangers, you come into that equation, it is kind of tricky. Shesterkin is kind of, I don't know how long exactly he was going to be out for. I didn't read into that, but I think it'll end up being a tricky situation having Shesterkin and Rask, because Rask is going to come in and he's not going to be a backup. He's not going to play that role. He's going to be a number one goaltender. And I think Rangers, it would be tricky. Any team really would be tricky. I think the Wild is more appeasable. I think it would be easier if they were going to move one between Talbot and Kähkönen. I could see Kähkönen on the move. He is younger. He does bring a little bit more value to the table in terms of trying to get something back. So, yeah, I think the Wild could be a good destination, or just any team in general that's going to be trying to make a push here that needs that little boost in net, if you will.
The only reason I mentioned the Rangers is because it would be awesome for him to go somewhere in the division after like hanging out and practicing with everybody, having a good time. Be like, all right, guys, going to the Rangers. I'll see you later.
I mean, it's always possible. You never know. I think another team you could maybe see is like the New York Islanders. That could be a possibility. I mean, they're rebuilding.
I don't know if they're in it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm Tuukka Rask, like I want to go somewhere where I walk into the door and we are in the conversation for the finals. We're in the conversation to make a deep run in the playoffs. Like I have to imagine after taking all that time off and waiting to sign, like that's what you're looking for. It's not necessarily like, oh, where am I going to get the greatest deal? I mean, if he wants to, I just don't know who's going to be able to offer him like some lavish agreement, in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? I don't see that happening. And I don't think he is going to come in and just like play like starter amount of games. I don't think he's going to be playing back to back because he hasn't been playing. I feel like he needs to get into a situation where, the team is a contender. There might be another goalie there that, you can split even time with. Not saying you have to go game for game, but just so that when he does need that rest or something does occur, the team isn't completely, in the woods, with him being out or, having somebody else in net. So I think those would all be great options. And I'm, literally just going off some of the hot teams in the league right now. But a situational monitor, let's say it's, fantasy relevant here. Are you going to pick him up? How soon is too soon?
I mean, I would, if it were me, like he's available in our league personally. So if he's available in a couple weeks, then that's going to be someone I look at. Because right now, I think it's too early to be holding him. He's not using an IR position because he's listed as not active. So I think someone, in a couple weeks, once you get towards the holidays, there's the weeks kind of trickle a little bit with the holidays coming up and players getting time off. I think that would be the time to grab him. And, just kind of see what happens from there, and just hope for the best that he gets an NHL contract and that he doesn't have to wait until next year.
All right, duly noted. I'm going to pick him up in a week so you can't have him. I know you need goalies.
I got plenty of goalies. I don't know what you're talking about.
You had one. You had one when you were here. What are you talking about? One.
Well, now I have 3.
I have 4. Keep up. All right. Next up, we've got Mats Zuccarello of the Minnesota Wild, coming off a couple of strong performances here. A goal on his last game, an assist the game prior to that. Missed 2 games and then had 2 goals, another assist the game before that. So, I mean, he's just putting up a lot of points here. Shots on net are there. And he doesn't get a lot of blocks by any means, but production's available, 36% rostered. My guess is that people dropped him on a fair amount when he missed a couple of games, which is just absolutely silly because he was on a tear. Prior to him missing those 2 games, he had scored 2 goals. He had an assist. Game prior to that, no goals, no assists. Game prior to that, an assist. Game before that, and a goal and 2 assists. Like, you see where I'm going with this. Like, the production has been consistent, and the Wild have been on a tear. Like I mentioned earlier, they've won 6 games in a row, so the offense is clicking. I believe he's playing on that first line, isn't he, with Kaeperzov and Hartman?
I can check because I feel like he is, but I'm not 100% sure.
I just have to look down. I was thinking you were going to have that locked in, Nick. Yeah,
it's Hartman.
And Kaeperzov, and then he plays on the second power play with Hartman and Eriksson Ek. So a lot of playing time. Minutes are there. Opportunity is there. I mean, the game that he played the least amount of minutes and across his past 8 games, he scored 2 goals. So a lot of opportunity, not a lot of opportunity. He makes the best of it. Any disagreement, Nick?
No, I don't have any disagreement. Like you said, Minnesota, they're a hot team. He's getting the ice time, and the line he's on is contributing because we were talking about Kaprizov. He's been hot. Ryan Hartman, I know you've been riding him out the last couple of weeks. He's been hot. And so, yeah, there's no reason him playing on that line that he won't stay hot. And I think on this Minnesota team that's on a tear, I think he could be a long-term hold.
I think he should be. As long as he's playing on that top line and the team continues to produce at this rate, then yes, he absolutely needs to be on your roster for sure. Go fire up some Mats Zuccarello. I'm looking at the Predators up 2-0, out shooting the Red Wings 12-3. The Red Wings started this game out shooting them 3-0. How the tide has changed. All right. Lastly, here we have Corey Perry of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's only 3% rostered. I get it. The man's old. He's playing on the 4th line. But you know what? They actually use him and Patrick Maroon on their second power play unit. So they reserve, some of their opportunities to just throw them out there when they have the best opportunity with a man up. So I think he's kind of a touch and go type of player. But if you look at his production, just looking at total points, like 23.8. 2.7, 5.7, 8.7, 9.6, 7.8, 12.7 across his last, 8 games? It sounds crazy, but he's producing. Like, I think he's got to be on your roster until he has a stretch of like 3 or 4 bad games. Like I said, he doesn't play a lot, of minutes, total minutes, because of the 4th line situation. But even on the 4th line, he plays with Patrick Maroon and a younger kid whose name is escaping me right now. But he's getting it done. I mean, in his last game, he had 2 goals and assist. Nick, I think you told me earlier that he had an assist already tonight, right?
Yeah, he already had an assist tonight. And no, I think he'll be he's a very kind of touchy guy, ad drop. And to answer your question, the guy on the 4th line is Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. And but no, that 4th line, they're getting it done. I saw before we started the show, Patrick Maroon already had a goal in that game. And do
you know if it came on the power play?
I do not off the top of my head. But no, that line, they're putting up numbers, and the only thing that is holding me back from kind of getting on the Corey Perry train is the ice time. I think that's a big thing. But you got to also consider when he's on the ice, he's making stuff happen. So, yeah, I would just kind of put him on the roster, see how he does, maybe hold him 2 or 3 games. Doesn't fizzle out, then you just drop him for someone else.
Right, exactly. And I think in a lot of situations with the waiver wire, you're going to have those days where you get up in the morning and you're looking at the wire and there's just guys you can't pick up because they haven't cleared waivers, they don't have a game, just kind of those weird days. You're just like, man, like, who do I pick up? Like
today.
Yeah, like kind of like today. I'm like, I got Corey Perry sitting there, like, he's old as shit and he doesn't play a lot. Should I pick him up? I don't know. I'm looking at him, or I don't know, some Kubalik for the Blackhawks. Like, Blackhawks aren't amazing, but they need some offense. You know what I mean? Like, when it's those kind of weird days and you're up in the air about who to grab, I think Corey Perry should still stay in the back of your head here. The old man's getting it done. 2 goals and an assist in his last game. He already has an assist tonight. He's just not playing a lot, but when he gets out there, he's making the best of his opportunities. And like I mentioned, he's getting a lot of power play time. So they reserve his energy and that extra little bit of the gas tank for the power play and the man up. So I think he should be on everybody's radars for sure.
For sure. 100%.
All right, let's move over to buy or sell. We're looking at some top producers either this season across the last week or 2 weeks. So first up, we're looking at Timo Meier of the San Jose Sharks. He is the #1 fantasy producer in all of fantasy hockey across the last 14 days. Is this the time to hop on the Meier train or time to sell, Nick?
I would probably sell him high, honestly. I think his consistency is there, and I don't think it'll last forever necessarily. I think San Jose, they're doing good, but I think after the kind of the New Year's, I think they're going to start to fizzle out. A lot of teams do, whether it be around that time, around the All-Star break, whatever. They have their time where they start to fizzle out, and we've seen it with some teams, but not all. But I think that'll happen to San Jose, and I think that Meyer will fizzle out eventually. So he's hot right now. So I think you get a pretty high return on him.
I agree. Even in his last game, he had 2 assists, which was nice, but he was a -3. I think more of those days are coming where, you know what, you may see him get that little bit of production, but I feel like the negative stuff is coming. You know, the Sharks aren't going to be able to, maintain what they're doing across an entire season. I feel like the schedules are going to start to get a little tougher. Calgary, Minnesota, Dallas. Those 3 games alone, those are his next upcoming games. Those are some tough matchups. I'm not saying he's going to completely fall off the shelf here in the next week, but I do think it's time to get some value back on him. I would agree with you. Definitely time to sell. Especially if you a Sharks fan, or I don't know, just anyone on the West Coast in your league, because they can watch their player play at a decent time. I can't stand when I can't watch my players play because games start at 9:30 and 10 o'clock on the West Coast or East Coast, for West Coast games, excuse me. So yeah, I'm in sell mode as well. But something to keep a lookout for with the sports books. Timo Meier is laying really low shot numbers. I cashed a 4-shot total on him, I don't know, 3 games ago or something like that. The dude's top 10 in the league for total shots on net. So he gets the puck to the net. I'm just betting on it that it's going to, come at a little bit of a slower rate. The goals aren't going to come. Still going to be getting stuff in front of the net, but the scoring may not stay as consistent. So definitely something to look out for. If you see him laying like a 3-shot prop, hammer that all day.
For sure, 100%.
All right, next up is Jake Guentzel. He is number 2 in fantasy production across the last 14 days. His production is a little bit more appetizing to me. You look at his last 4 games, 2, 3, 1, 1 in goals. That's just goals. In points, his last 4 games, 24.8, 33.6. Oh my goodness. 7.3, 10.9, 10.10, 8.7, 10.5, 15.2, 15.5, 16.7. I don't need to keep going here. Goals. He's scoring. He's getting assists. I think Sid being back is a big, big help. He's clearly the biggest benefactor. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would buy him right away. Yeah.
Exactly. I agree.
He was a buy right away, and his return is going to be tricky because of how hot he is, but the numbers are there for him, and you can see the Sidney Crosby effect playing on that line with Crosby and Evan Rodriguez, who's also been hot. But I think, yeah, he's someone you definitely go out for right now, and then you can probably hold him till the rest of the season. He's also on the first power play, and he's getting the minutes, he's getting the points. Plus minus can be a little bit better through a couple games, but his shots are also pretty solid, to say the least. 2, 4, 7, 1, but then 9, 3, 5, 8, 5, 3, 5. Like, his numbers are there, and there's so much upside to him. So if you can buy him for your team, I would get him right away.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. And the Penguins they're coming off a couple of victories. They're going to be playing again in about 3 days at Washington. That should be a pretty good game. They lost 3 games before that, but won 4 in a row before that. So the team is just being a little bit more successful recently as well. They've won, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 out of their last 10. 7 out of their last 10. They've been playing really well. So definitely a good situation to get a part of. All right, next up we have our guy, or maybe just my guy, Ryan Hartman. He is number 7. He ranks 7 in total fantasy production across the last 14 days or games, whatever days, excuse me, last 2 weeks. He had 10 shots 2 games ago. That was one game that I did not bet the shot total. I was very sad on it. 3 games ago up against Arizona, I did cash in on that one, and I almost took it yesterday, but he would have missed it. He only had 2 shots on goal. He had a little bit of a slow night in Toronto, but they did win the game 4-3. So yeah, I mean, the production has been there. He's getting shots on net. He's getting goals. I mean, the goals are more consistent than the assists. He's a line 1 center right now on one of the hottest teams in the league. Is this someone that you're buying in on or selling while you still can, Nick?
For right now, I would try and buy him, but I think when this winning streak ends, then I would try and sell, because looking at some of the games that they've lost before the winning streak, his production wasn't really there necessarily. So I think maybe the winning streak almost has something to do with his point production. And so I think maybe for right now he's a buy, but I would try and sell once Minnesota they start to string together a few losses.
I don't know. It's really tough. I mean, he's going to have to really revert away from like all of this scoring opportunities that he's providing. Just I mean, for the team in general, like when you see your line one center go out there and get 10 shots, you're like, yeah, we're not dropping him down anytime soon.
Right.
Still playing on the power play. Line one center with Kaeperzov, one of the hotter younger players in the league right now. I like what they're working with. I don't think it's going to cost you a lot. I want to buy some Hartman. Might offer Pops might offer Pops an overnight deal for him.
Oh, Pops doesn't make trades. He drafts the team and sticks with it.
I know he doesn't. I'm gonna have to work him. I'm gonna have to get in there. What do you think? Some Merzlikins? I feel like if I offer him Merzlikins, I feel like it will upset Mom enough that he will take it.
I think it has to be someone he knows, like a former Blackhawk or something. For a former Blackhawk for a former Blackhawk.
I don't know those. Hey, was that Granlund? Did he just get a shot on net? Refresh your box score. Do that for me.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that was a shot on net. That was a tickle in the back of my brain over here.
Let's see.
Next up, I have Elias Lindholm of the Calgary Flames. He is number 5 on the season for total fantasy production, coming out of nowhere with the Calgary Flames. Again, very consistent scoring, but it's taken a little bit of a dip recently. Is this a time to kind of like make a move before it's too late, or buy him while he's a little bit lower than what he has been for the entire season? Because he's number 5 season long. He's outside of the top 15 right now for the last 2 weeks.
I like kind of just while he's kind of hitting this cold snap, almost just kind of try and sell him because he's still got some value. So yeah, he would be kind of a sell candidate. His numbers are slightly falling off. So I think to someone that still can see the silver lining that he's still a good player, I think you can still get a good return when you do sell him.
I don't know. I think I want to buy. I think I want to get after him. I mean, I really trust this Calgary Flames team this year. Fight. We got a good fight. Dang.
Ooh.
Smith and Harper.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was a good fight. Smith took dude to the ice. Went down. I just saw some guy with a beer sitting down while they were fighting. That's like rule number 1, bro. Like, please exit the section. You are no longer welcome here.
Oh yeah, I can't confirm that Granlund shot.
You can?
I can confirm.
We got one?
We got one.
We got one. We need one more. Let's go. Let's take it to the Hizzy. Smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. I'm going to get back into it here. Getting a little excited from that fight. He's got some bad hair. He's losing some hair out of that helmet. Smith is looking good. The dreadlocks are looking great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No effect from the helmet whatsoever. No effect to the helmet whatsoever.
100%.
All right, next up we've got Tristan Jarry of the Pittsburgh Penguins, really catching fire, winning his last game. He has 1 or less goals against in 2 out of his last 3 games. Actually, no, that's even farther back. Goodness, I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And of his last 8 games, he's only allowed more than 1 goal once. It's pretty damn good. Again, this is another benefactor of Sidney Crosby coming back, the team getting right. I really feel like the offense is. I know when they say like, oh, defense wins championships, so I say you got to score too, right? Offense has really been holding up the team. They've been getting it together. I think Tristan Jarry, like if you're like in your position, I think you need to be making moves for like a guy like Jarry rather than the Boston line 1.
Yeah,
damn team.
Get out of here.
But no, he's on fire right now. This is definitely not a sell position for me. I guess I just asked like, what do you got to give up for him? You know what I mean? Like he's a top 5 goalie right now on the season. Well, actually, he's number 4 in fantasy production in the last 14 days. I don't know what I guess he is in the season long, but I know he wasn't as good as he is across this stretch. That's for certain. So I'm in. Name your price, and you got it.
Yeah, I think that Tristan Jarry, his production's finally starting to come around. At the beginning of the year, I actually had drafted Tristan Jarry. I held him for about 3 weeks, and nothing was there for him. It was just a banged-up Pittsburgh Penguins team, and I made the mistake of dropping him. And, of course, now he's finally starting to pick it up, coming back to bite me in the ass, if you will. But, no, yeah, I think he's someone that you got to buy for your team. His numbers are there. He's getting enough shots. He's saving them, not really letting up many goals. So, yeah, I would buy him all the way. And I especially need him for my team because my goaltending could always be better.
Go out and get him. All right, last up here, we got Marc-Andre Fleury of the Chicago Blackhawks. He has back-to-back wins in his last 2 appearances, 22, 25, 20 saves across those 3 games. He's been looking a lot better. The Blackhawks are looking a lot better. I think I'm ready to sell, though. I feel like I've gotten some decent value out of him. I don't know what the Blackhawks are going to look like season long. I don't know if elite is probably the word that we want to use in really any aspect of their offense, defense, goaltending, whatever it is. So I think I'm ready to sell Fleury. What do you think?
I mean, I think there's aspects of both sides. I think you consider him to be a buy necessarily because ever since Derek King came into the Blackhawks organization, he's finally started to find his rhythm. You look at the beginning of the year with Jeremy Colleton, Lankinen, and Fleury just wasn't working. But now you're finally starting to see him string together some wins. But yeah, on the sell side, you can consider that now he is starting to get hot. You can probably get a decent return. And considering the Blackhawks team, it might not be forever that he stays hot. So, yeah, for that reason, I would say sell, but I think you could also make a case to buy him for sure.
He is a top 10 goalie across the last month, across the last 30 days. He ranks number 9. So, again, it's an improvement because he wasn't even touching like the top 25 for most of the season. So I do respect that. But, again, it's a situation for me where, hey, we finally got some decent value out of him. Let's flip him for something else or something that we need. Right. Wouldn't be a bad guy to package in one of those Jari trades or potential offers because you're going to want something back. And I feel like a guy like like the Flower gives you kind of that name brand recognition that you're going to be like, you know what? All right, I can pull the trigger on this.
Right, for sure.
All right, so let's jump into some live betting now. We're going to close out the show here. Appreciate everybody who's been riding with us. Smash that like button. We appreciate you. All right. I got the Predators up 2-0 over Detroit. I'm just mentioning this one because the other games don't want to load for some reason on my monitor here. So let's start with that one. All right. We got Preds up over the Red Wings 2-0. And, of course, they have this game locked. I guess it's just because Detroit's going to a power play. So we'll go somewhere else. Islanders and the Senators. Islanders are up 1-0. They are minus 312 on the money line to win this game outright. The Senators are plus 235 at this time. The over-under is at 3.5 goals we're halfway through the game, 10:25 left in the game. What do you like here, Nick?
In this game, I do like the Islanders to pull this one out. I think they probably will go to the under in this game, halfway through. Not a lot of scoring, so I think that's an obvious pick. But yeah, I would ride with the Islanders right now. Just a better team compared to the Senators. Senators not really getting it together. So yeah, give me the Islanders all day in this one.
I'm going to take the Senators to cover at least. They will at least cover the plus 1.5. Detroit just got one back. That's probably why they blocked it because they probably had the goal info before I did. That makes sense. But I'm going to take the Senators here. They played stinker the other night when I took the Devils to beat them straight up, and then they won in overtime. And they were down 2-0 in that game. Yeah, they were down 2-0 in that game and rallied and won an OT. So I'm going to go Senators to cover, and I'm going to go over the 3.5. I'm going to guess that they either put in a couple more goals or the Islanders. Give me the over 3.5. Canadians up over the Lightning. Glad I stayed away from that one. Canadians 2-1 over the Lightning. That game is locked as well. All these games are Mick locked. I have no value. Here we go. No, that game's locked too. Jesus. I mean, either everyone's scoring or I don't know what. They just don't want to lose any money right now. Sorry. Hurricanes, Jets. Hurricanes are up over the Jets 1-0. Hurricanes minus 189 on the money line. Jets are plus 160. Over under is at 6.5 now. I will take the under there. And Hurricanes to cover minus 1.5 is paying plus 150. What do you like, Nick?
Yeah, I like the plus 1.5, and I like Winnipeg. They're paying plus money. It's still early in the game, and I think they can pull it out. I think Carolina, like we talked about, not necessarily that consistent. So, yeah, I like Winnipeg to pull it out, and it's paying plus money, so that's obviously a big thing.
Yeah, I like the Jets to still win outright as well. We're still early in this one, nearly halfway through the first period. So give me the Jets to cover the plus 1.5 as well, and I will take the under 6.5 total goals. Next up, we have the Panthers and the Blues. Panthers are already up at the same mark, 12:43 left in the first period. Me and Nick were both laying heavy on the Panthers tonight, so they're at minus 333 right now on the money line, which is probably what it should have been to start the game, being the fact that the Blues were so shorthanded. But I don't know. Maybe a line like that would get people actually looking at the what's going on. Totals at 6.5 goals. I still like the under. What do you like here, Nick?
Yeah, I like the under 2 in this one. How deep in the game did you say they are?
12:43.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I still like the under in this one. I think low scoring game, and yeah, I like the Panthers all day in this one against the shorthanded Blues team.
Sounds good. Ducks and Sabres are still tied at 0, and I think they're going into the third. That can't be right?
I can confirm
Pull it
that.
Pull up that box score.
End of the first.
Okay, all right. So they're going into the second. Mm-hmm. So no score at the end of the first. You got the Ducks minus 164 on the money line. Sabres plus 135. Hammering the Ducks. They're playing in a back-to-back, but they're just a better team here.
Yeah, they really are, and we hammer their offense so much in the show today, talking about Zegras, Milano, and they've just got so many offensive options they can really go to in any game. And I think it'll be a game like that tonight where they start to lean on a lot on their offense. On the Sabres end, you're starting Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and he hasn't really built a name for himself. So yeah, I like the Ducks in this game for sure.
Same here. I am not going to be able to get that Merzlikins trade to happen. Leafs are up 3-0. Merzlikins been dropping big games for me. He's probably going to get cut.
Yeah.
He's dropped a couple of really big ones. So he's all yours, bud. It's all yours. There's really nothing to show here. I mean, they're giving them Blue Jackets plus 1,800 odds to win. Maple Leafs minus 10,000 on the money line. Like, it's over, baby. What movie is that from, Nick? What movie is that from?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Mighty Ducks, man. Mighty Ducks 3. Let's go.
Mighty Ducks 3. That's the worst Mighty Ducks, and you know that.
It's the best Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks 3 is the worst.
Practically in college. I'm just kidding. They're sophomores in high school. Freshmen in high school. They make it seem like
D2 all the way. D2.
Is it though?
Is it though?
Is it? I mean, the Iceland shootout thing. It over-glorified shootouts. I blame the Mighty Ducks for us having shootouts.
Yeah, I think that's a big contributor to that.
All right. Well, that's all we got. You got anything to close it down with, Nick?
Nothing for tonight, no. Good luck in fantasy if you're watching the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you guys get some winners tonight. Hopefully we gave you some good picks. I'm waiting for Mikael Granlund to get the second shot on net. He was standing like right next to the hash mark with a stick wound up. I was waiting for a one-timer. It did not come. It did not happen.
Still at 1 right now.
We'll get there. Mm-hmm. As long as going into the third period, I only need 1. I'm good. Whatever the number is. Whatever the number ever is, like
from center ice.
What? I don't care. That's just fine with me. Nick Cousins got the first shot on net for the Predators doing that because I was like, who the hell was that? Who was that? That was some cheap shot on net. I want that.
Right.
Like, who was that? Nick Cousins. I was like, damn it. Wrong guy. All right. Take care. Be well, everybody. We'll be back Friday with fantasy basketball. Be back Sunday with fantasy football. And we will see you next Tuesday back with fantasy hockey. Take care. Be well. Be good. And if you can't be good at it. Later.